Craig Smoak.
And this segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, brought to you by Edward Jones Financial Advisors. Mack, thank you for your time today. With the story that's out there, and we don't know all the details yet involving Michigan and possibly a staffer being at stadiums and filming or whatever, the question has been, have you all ever, as a university or an athletic department or whoever, thought about devices in the helmets? Is that a money issue? What has that ever been discussed before among you and others?
Yeah, so it's an NCAA issue. And it's one, your question is great timing, because it's one that is beginning to pick up some momentum, and we're beginning to have those conversations, with the football oversight committee and others. And so I do think it's coming. I don't know that, it's here in the next 6 months, but finding a way to be able to communicate with, i.e., like the quarterback on the field, like the NFL does, et cetera. So I think technology on the sideline and communication with student athletes is in our horizon.
Is money was the excuse the first, or the reason? I don't know, the excuse is bad. There was a reason the first time, but there's more money flowing through now. I know that it doesn't go as far as maybe some fans think it does, but is there enough money rolling through where this can be at least subsidized at a conference or NCAA level to make sure that at least all the FBS teams have access to this?
Yeah, Paul, that's a fair question, and I don't know that we have the answer for that. I don't think we've dug into it deep enough yet. And, what does it mean, in reality, cost per institution? Could everybody afford it? Could only those in the Power 5 or Power 4 afford it? So I think that's, Paul, some of the work that's ahead of us when we think about the reality of it, and when and how and who.
Mack, your football program went up to Cincinnati, the first Big 12 conference game against the Bearcats as members, and walked out with a win. Just your thoughts on the experience going to Cincy for the first time in that setting, and also seeing your football team come off the bye week and get a much-needed victory.
Yeah, so first let me speak to the setting. I thought Cincinnati did a great job of hosting. Every place we go is done really, really well, but I thought that they were even at maybe a next level higher. One of the things that I thought of when I walked immediately into the stadium, and I'd been there before when I was at the University of Houston, was this is a Power 5 field. The magnitude of it, the stadium, everything about it. And so it was just reassurance and, reinforcement that Cincinnati absolutely was the right pick in terms of joining our conference and strengthening it and making us better here in the future. And then, the game, look, it's hard to win on the road. It is. And, for us to go in there and compete against a good Cincinnati team, and the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs within the game, and to be able to walk away, again, obviously excited for and happy for our players first and foremost, but also Coach Aranda and the staff. And, the off week leading up, really proud of the way Coach Aranda handled that, and the staff and the players. I thought it was a great time of self-reflection, people looking at themselves in the mirror. I thought the staff did a great job in terms of a self-scout, and, where the offensive staff scouted the defensive staff, and vice versa, presenting to each other, how they would attack us. And so I thought, that was just some really, really, I thought, sound way to really, think about, our strengths and our weaknesses. And, what's remained consistent throughout this entire year has been the unity amongst the staff and the players.
Mack, a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I asked you about all the time that you spent involved with the Big 12 and the realignment and all of that, the recruitment of other schools and programs, and it was enormous. And a lot of people maybe don't know that. And then yet again, your role as the athletic director at Baylor, when you're in that role, isn't what you're doing not only try to help the conference, but in the end, isn't that what you're doing is also try to help? The number one thing is help Baylor?
Yeah, I think, there's a balance to all of it, right? And, I'm a person that have always, it's always been my adrenaline, right, to have a lot of different things on my plate. And, I gain energy and fuel from those types of challenges. And, it was a great challenge to be able to, and honor, by the way, to be able to, do what I could to help the Big 12 to work alongside our ADs and our great commissioner and find a spot, of tremendous stability for the Big 12. And so again, it was certainly a really, really critical time for the Big 12, but also for our university and our athletics program, and to be part of that. I'm honored and I'm glad that I was able to do that. And you're right, Smoak. That was always about how do we position, Baylor best, not just for today, but for tomorrow. And a stronger Big 12, a healthy Big 12, a Big 12 with a viable future, right, is something really, really good for Baylor athletics. And then, I would just say that, I've got great people. We've got a great staff here at Baylor and in the athletics program. And, it's one of my great joys to be able to work with them each and every day. And so, when you have great people surrounded around you, right, you've got confidence that things aren't going to fall in between the cracks and things are going to move forward at a fast pace and the way you want to, right? And that there's going to be execution at an elite level. And so, I'm one that, I love that, man. I love, being part of both of them and being able to do all of it. And sure, it made for a fast pace and quite frankly, a really, really packed summer with no break at all. But, it was, I look back at it and say, man, that was a really a cool and special time.
Mack, as a person who has to lead an athletic department and make decisions based on long-term and short-term factors, how do you work through being prisoner of the moment of this is bad now, this is great now, where's the center in making decisions?
Yeah, Paul, that's such a great question. It's hard, and just being quite frank, I'm probably, a little bit emotional or on the emotional side. And so, having to, work through that every day, make sound decisions in the moment and not let your emotions get the best of you and really think about, facts and totality of stuff and, how does a short-term decision, impact a long-term decision? All of those things, you've got to balance having the perspective, the myopic perspective versus, a larger, broader view, right? So it's something that, that I'm challenged with, every day. And, what I'm focused on is trying to make the most constructive, best decisions, on a daily basis. And, when we think about the football, program, that's where, I've got such great faith in Dave Aranda, because I don't think I've ever been around a coach that does a better job that actually sees areas of improvement, better than a Dave Aranda. And so, it's one of the things that I really value about him is the way that he's introspective and the way that he can sit and look in the mirror and say, hey, I've got to get better in these areas. Our football program's got to get better in these areas. So, Paul, great Great question, but that's something that, man, is a challenge for me each and every day.
Mac, there was, again, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I asked you about the NCAA or the Big 12 championship team, what it could be honored. There was a hurdle that had to be, I guess, finished. It appears as if that's now the case with the latest lawsuit. Does that open the door up to perhaps honor the 2013 Big 12 championship team, the football team?
Yeah, I would say that, we're eager to honor the 2013 team and even the 2014 team. And, both of those teams were comprised of some really, really quality young men, and what they accomplished should be celebrated. They should be honored. I think it's really difficult right now, Smoak. You only have 3 weeks in the season left, really. And to be thinking about, how can we do that and execute that at a high level, a way that, they deserve, I think would really be hard to do to pull off here in the next, 3 home games. So we'll find the time, but I do promise this, that they will be honored. And we'll do it in a really, really great way.
We have 90 seconds left with you today. We appreciate your time. I read the story about
the tennis team, men's tennis team, is waiting for me. I am actually in my car, sitting right outside the tennis complex.
I'll save this for the next time we have you on the
air. No, go ahead.
Go ahead. In the testimony or whatever when you were at that as a witness last week, there was a story brought up about former running back Devin Chafin. You listened to his story. You understood the young man, and I know that Galloway was very much involved. What did you see, and how proud are you of him, of what he's accomplished when you gave him a chance to go back to school?
Yeah, so, I am grateful to Gail Galloway for bringing it to my attention. I don't think I would have known otherwise. So he deserves a lot of credit. Now, we didn't make the decision, or I didn't make the decision because Gail Galloway called and because he's a donor. Made the decision because I thought it was the right decision, that Devin deserved a chance to finish out his degree. And, I think I mentioned, I had an opportunity to visit with him. I thought he was really, really sincere. I thought he was extremely genuine. He had promised his late grandfather that he would finish school. He had promised his family. He's married. He had at the time at least one child, and I just again thought it was the right thing to do for Devin. And by the way, Devin made the most of it. He completed his degree. He's out working. There were no charges that had been pressed against him. There was nothing pending, and again thought that he deserved that chance and that opportunity, and he made the most of it, and good for him.
Thank you very much for your time. Good luck with the tennis balls and rackets and those who hit them with the programs that you have with your meeting. Thank you for your time. We'll talk to you again next week. We'll see you Saturday for homecoming, Baylor and Iowa State, 2:30 at McLean Stadium. The story about Devin